Ravens just finished day 18 of training camp practice. We'll dive into the notes from today. We saw strong days from Mike Green, Nate Wiggins, Aeneas Peebles. Tavius Robinson was working out with the Ravens great. John Harbaugh confirmed the starting 5 offensive linemen. We also hear from John Harbaugh, Aeneas Peebles, Broderick Washington, and Aeneas Johnson. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Training camp practice just finished up. We are nearing the end here. We only have 2 more practices this week. The last practice will probably be kind of like a walkthrough like it has been in recent weeks for the preseason game on Saturday, and then it's regular season mode after that. Practice is closed to the media outside of the early walkthrough and warm-ups and special teams and stuff, but the media can't even observe practice starting next week, so we're not going to get any information outside of who's there and stuff like that, but we still got a couple more days of practice here. Yesterday was a super slow day. There wasn't a lot of information. I did put the small amount of notes that I found in the comment section. I know some of you guys saw that in yesterday's video, but I kind of just did a general update video because there was a lot of injury news and stuff going around yesterday, but I did put a couple of the practice notes from day 17. But we do got quite a bit to go over today, so let's dive into it. We'll start with who was there. We did see DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Armour-Davis return to practice, but still out is Patrick Ricard, Dayton Wade, Isaiah Likely, Emory Jones Jr., Kyle Van Noy, Adisa Isaac, William Kwenku, Jair Alexander, and Chidobe Awuzie. Malik Ham left practice a little early. Harbaugh said that he doesn't think it's anything serious, but he did not finish practice. Diving into some of the highlights from today, it was another strong day from Mike Green. He had an interception today from Cooper Rush. It was likely a pick 6. Rushed through the ball right to Mike Green in the flat. It was a pass intended for Malik Cunningham. Mike Green also had a sack today, beating Ben Cleveland. Just a really strong day overall for Mike Green, and we continue to see this every practice, every preseason game. I know some people are like, oh, he didn't even get a sack, and I'm like, you got to watch how disruptive this guy is and how much he's impacting the game. You know, the quarterbacks are forced to get rid of the ball quickly because he's getting there so fast. The sacks are going to come. That's inevitable. But putting pressure on the QBs, blowing up runs, you know, that 4th down stop in the preseason game was a turnover. Mike Green has been disruptive in a variety of ways. I think that's what I'm most impressed with. I knew he was a quick pass rusher that had elite bend, but we're seeing an elite run defender. We're seeing a pass rusher that doesn't just have bend and doesn't just hit the outside. He's got a nasty spin move. He's got a power rush. Like, this guy could do a multitude of things, and I'm just impressed, man. I can't wait to see him out there on the field in the regular season. I can't wait to see Mike Green progress as these years go. He's going to be a Raven for a long time. Another guy that we haven't talked about in the last few videos that had a really active practice today was Nate Wiggins.
I thought today was a solid day for Nate Wiggins, who was involved in a couple of run stops, had a nice pass breakup in one-on-one against Zay Flowers, where he basically ran the route for Zay, and it's not very often you hear anybody saying that, but a really good job in coverage from Nate Wiggins on a corner route from Zay on that one. But I just thought Nate was busy. He was active, like I said, and he showed up in the run game as well, which was really good. I have a Nate Wiggins run stuff against Keaton Mitchell where Nate meets Keaton Mitchell at the line of scrimmage. There was nowhere for Keaton to go, and Nate did a really good job of shooting the gap, being decisive, and blowing that run play up before it got started.
I'm happy Nate Wiggins isn't playing in the preseason. There's no reason to risk it, but I am dying to see year 2 Nate Wiggins out there on the field, man. I think that what we saw last year is just the tip of the iceberg, man. This guy has so much talent. And not only just from an athletic standpoint, he has instinct too. And he talked to the media a couple weeks ago and said that, you know, he's a lot more comfortable in this defense. He's not thinking anymore, and he can just go out there and play football. And that usually happens, you know, rookies their first year, even if they get better as the year goes, they're still not fully comfortable. But they don't have a crazy offseason in year 2. The rookies have a crazy offseason their first year. You know, they're getting out of college. They got to go through that combine and all the draft interviews and the draft draft and then rookie mini camp. It's just a way longer offseason and season. So you see rookies usually not that comfortable their first year, but year 2, Nate Wiggins is going to explode, man. He's going to be out there pretty much full time. I know our secondary stack, but Nate Wiggins is one of our best players. So can't wait to see Nate out there balling. Strong practice today. We had another Ravens great attend practice today. Jarret Johnson, who was working with Tavius Robinson. And a few weeks ago, Tavius Robinson, he talked about how wearing 95, the number of Jarret Johnson, and how inspired he is by Jarret Johnson, how much film he watches, and then boom, Jarret Johnson's at practice working with Tavius Robinson. We also recently saw Mike Green working with McCrary. So a lot of Ravens greats coming back to kind of work with these young guys. I love that, man. And I think Harbaugh alluded to Tavius Robinson and Jarret Johnson are going to go watch some film today too. So love seeing the greats come back. Also speaks even more to Tavius Robinson being such a hard worker and being so determined to be great. And we haven't seen him in the preseason either, which is a huge telling sign that he is going to play a very important role and play a lot for the Ravens this year. Tyler Loop was 6 for 8 today. He missed a 33-yarder, which was an extra point, and then he also missed a 58-yarder, both wide right. Aeneas Peebles had a really strong practice today. He blew up a Justice Hill run in the backfield.
Oh, this might have been the play of the day. And I couldn't tell if it was a read option or Lamar's looking to hand it to Justice Hill. Either way, Aeneas Peebles blows that play up before it even gets started. He meets them at the mesh point in the backfield. He could have tackled both Lamar and Justice Hill if he wanted to on that play. That was the best play I saw today on the defensive side.
John Harbaugh, Dennis Johnson, and Broderick Washington all had very high praise for Aeneas Peebles today. Harbaugh was speaking on why they took him in the 6th round, even though he's not your normal, stereotypical, big size defensive lineman that the Ravens would usually draft, and he's just saying he's too explosive, he's too good, he's got too much talent. Dennis Johnson was saying that he's the most explosive D lineman that he's coached.
I mean, it's just he flashes, he's quick. He gives us a little bit of a change of speed pitch. Maybe I don't know, maybe it's a fastball, maybe it's with movement. I mean, he's quick in there. We've always had the big powerful defensive linemen, but when we saw him on tape, we liked him, and then he was still there, in the 6th round. It's like, maybe it doesn't fit the prototype Raven defensive lineman of the past, but we've got those guys still. But here's a guy that can give us something a little different that we haven't had, and I know we're all excited about that.
Bub is one of the most explosive defensive linemen I've ever coached or evaluated on tape. He uses his explosiveness, obviously, like in the run and in the pass, and he gets his hands on people, quicker than they can get their hands on him. And so in the run game, that helps him a lot. Obviously in the pass game, he's good with transitioning, getting on edges. That's kind of probably what pops off just naturally on tape. But taking that explosiveness and, putting it in the way that we play our run technique, with square pads and fast hands and all the things, kind of has helped him kind of like, rise with the charts as it relates to competing out here.
I mean, I just feel like I'm just not, I guess, stature-wise, the typical Ravens D lineman. But, I feel like at the end of the day, I mean, the Ravens always have killers up front. So, so I might not be the prototypical size of a Ravens D lineman, they want to say, but, thankfully the Ravens saw something in me to make me a Ravens D lineman. So.
Do you feel like you play a little different than the other guys and can bring something different?
1,000%. I just feel like my game is primarily based on my quickness, my ability to change direction, my leverage. Those are two things that I really try to, emphasize in my game.
Aeneas is definitely going to make this 53. Harbaugh pretty much confirmed it, saying he's going to play a lot this year. He's going to be a change of pace D lineman for the Ravens, and it is going to be tough for bigger offensive linemen to deal with him, man. I think Peebles is very explosive, and his smaller size with that explosion helps him get around bigger offensive linemen. So he's going to be a force, and don't sleep on him in the run game. You heard Cordell talk about how he was in the backfield and blew up a run today. Justice Hill and Lamar could have got tackled. Peebles was already there. I think he's working and making big strides already as a run defender too, and that's going to increase as the years go. But loving everything I've seen and heard from Aeneas Peebles so far. John Harbaugh also, while speaking speaking to the media today, confirmed that the starting 5 offensive linemen are set. So now it is official, which no surprise, honestly. I mean, Ronnie Stanley left tackle, Andrew Voorhees left guard, Tyler Linderbaum center, Daniel Fa'alele right guard, and Roger Rosengarten right tackle. That is set in stone. And Harbaugh also confirmed that they are most likely going with 9 offensive linemen. He said that 5 are confirmed, 9 are up in the air, and then he mentioned that it would be very tough to keep 10.
I mean, you pretty much settled the offensive line that we've seen that's been the expectation, for week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll be working on that, and then those guys' cohesiveness, and then who the extra alignment is, and then how we work the backup rotational spots and who's going to be active, those kind of things. And also, I'd say the 9 too is a little bit up in the air in flux right now. Which I'd say we got the 5. Now what's the 9 if we keep 9? Do you keep 10? It's hard to do, but we have 10 worthy guys for sure. And then the practice squad guys are all kind of up in the air right now.
This clears the 53-man roster decisions up a little bit. I think the offensive linemen now are set too. I would be surprised if those extra 4 aren't Joseph Noteboom as a backup swing tackle, Ben Cleveland as backup guard depth, Corey Bullock as backup center and guard depth. He can also play guard. And then Carson Vincent, the developmental tackle that the Ravens took in the 5th round. I would say those are the 9 offensive linemen. Could be wrong maybe on Vincent. Maybe they try to get him on the practice squad, but as a 5th round pick, I think he would get stolen. You would just lose your pick. So I think those are the 9. I'm going live with Jason from Huddle Up Films tonight, right after this video, actually. So if you're watching this video tomorrow or something, you can go back and watch the live too. But I'm going live tonight to talk about the 53-man roster in depth. We're going to kind of curate one and go through it. But I think those are the 9 offensive linemen. And Harbaugh confirmed that it is 9, not 10, so that does help clear things up. Another guy that was heavily talked about today and really has been talked about throughout the offseason, I think he's an underrated player around the NFL, but not on the Ravens, and that is Tavius Jones. Dennis Johnson said that he is going to be the best nose tackle in the NFL.
I expect Travis to be the best player on the field whenever he's on the field in general. And I think that Travis expects that for himself, just to be more dominant and be more consistent with being dominant. Last year, had some injuries up and down, but really looking for this year for him just to really go out there, from the start to the finish and just be the powerful, run-stopping, pass-rushing nose tackle that he is.
To be honest, he gonna put it all together this year, and he stay healthy. He gonna be the best nose tackle in the game. He got all the traits and abilities to be that guy, and I'm excited for him. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait.
I think Tavius Jones is a guy that the Ravens have to extend. He's in a contract year along with a ton of other guys. But Tavius Jones is at the top of the list for me for guys that the Ravens need to extend. I just don't think that they can afford to lose it. Yeah, you can always draft guys and bring them in, but I think Tavius Jones is one of those gems that we got, man. I don't think you could just replace that. You've heard the praise even from the players. I think that speaks volume. Guys like Broderick Washington and just the coaches in general. You don't toss out that they're going to be one of the best in the league. We heard Kyle Van Noy a few weeks ago say that Tavius Jones was playing as good of a level as Dexter Lawrence, and Zach Orr said he's going to be one of the best in the league. And they're not just tossing that out there, man. Tavius Jones, we've seen dominance already. He was playing on a hobbled ankle all last year, but this year he's healthy. So what's Tavius Jones going to look like healthy? I think dominance. But that's it for today's practice. There's 2 more practices this week and then the final preseason game on Saturday. Roster cuts have to be finalized by Tuesday. So that is going to be the talk of this week, is who's going to make the team. Like I said earlier in the video, going live tonight with Jason from Huddle Up Films. If you guys can join, I would love that. And let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. And appreciate you, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your night, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. Podcast, the Flock Rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.